I wanted to take this opportunity to talk about question number 10 in quizzes 1 and 2. The first one asked why it would be likely that people would take your body language as more reliable than what you say. And several people gave good answers that focused either on the notion that actions speak louder than words, or the fact that you can consciously lie with your mouth, but because our body language is largely unconscious, it's harder to do that. So if you're in a meeting with someone and they say, I'm really open to new ideas, it's like, no, this is not open. This is open. All right. So with the exception of actors who may have been trained to manage their body language, in general, what someone is doing with their body is unconscious, and therefore you interpret body language as if it were true. There's an interesting analog to this. There's a field called stylometry, and that's where people can take a collection of writings by a given author and then take another piece of anonymous writing and determine if it was written by that same author. And they're using statistical analysis. But they don't look at the vocabulary or the sentence length or the reading level. What they look at the articles and the pronouns, because these are verbal features that you use unconsciously. So even if you worked to disguise your writing style by using totally different words and more convoluted language or simpler language, your use of articles and prepositions would pretty much be a signature to your writing, and someone using statistical analysis could identify that you were in fact the author of that piece if they had enough other known writing of yours to compare it to. On quiz number 2, question said, did the authors go overboard with their directions regarding non-offensive inclusive speaking? And I could say not really, in that everything that they suggest it's consistent with something that should be sort of overriding all courses at this university, and that's the Ryder Promise, which takes the letters of promise and says things like P is prepared to contribute meaningfully to the changing world in which they live and work. Or M, motivated to be responsible citizens who support the common good. Or E, engaged in their communities as leaders and role models. So on that hand, you could say, no, they're just saying, be a good ethical person, and that's something that as a student of Ryder, you should be a good ethical person. That said, this is a course in professional and strategic speech, and it's part of the curriculum of the College of Business Administration. It's not the College of Social Justice Warriors. So you could say that it's none of their business about how you should sort of treat others with regard to possibly saying things that excluded them from the conversation. Well, that makes a certain amount of sense. However, it makes no sense to alienate members of your audience unnecessarily. So if your goal is to get the people that you're communicating to first hear what you say, and then evaluate what you say positively, and then possibly be moved to do what you are suggesting they do, if it is a persuasive speech, then it's strategically unsound to alienate other people. So rather than taking sort of the moralistic and ethical approach that the authors used, I would say it's a good idea to never alienate anybody that you don't necessarily have to alienate. So that includes being careful about all the various topics of race, ethnicity, gender, sexual preference, national identity, first language, etc. These are all ways that you can include all members of your audience as people who will accept the message that you have. So there's my comment on questions number 10 for essays 1 and 2.